Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Taylor, and today I want to show you guys a truck that I just picked up for an extremely good deal. It's a 1996 Ford F-250 7.3 Powerstroke, and it is right behind you. So let's get into a quick tour of it. And here it is, guys, an extended cab, long box, four-wheel drive 7.3. It's got 222,000 miles, which really isn't too bad for 7.3. And I picked this thing up for $3,750, and it actually runs incredibly well. We'll get into a quick tour of the mechanical stuff under the hood in a minute, but right now I'll walk you around the outside. It's actually very straight. All the paint is really intact except for a little bit of chipping behind the rear wheel wells where there was not mud flaps installed, but overall a very solid truck. It's got a gooseneck hitch in here underneath all that snow, and nice looking wheels and tires. They're polished aluminum 16-inch wheels, and we've got to get rid of this hideous looking rack, but it is a really good looking truck and just an absolute steal for this kind of money. So let's get into the engine compartment right now and check that out. So under the hood here you can see it's all, it's filthy, but it's all there. It does have a minor oil leak from the turbo pedestal, which we'll actually do the repair on, and I'll make a video for you guys. I basically think I want to do a whole video series on this truck, fixing it up aesthetically, doing some of the mechanical work, and really trying to make this thing look like new again. I think it has the potential to look awesome. These wheels, everything we'll tackle and polish out, but just a really solid running truck. And it's got a lot of new parts the previous owner threw on it, new alternator. They went through and rebuilt the whole AC system and recharged it. So it's a really pretty well sorted out truck, other than a couple minor little issues that I'll take care of. So it's really cold out today. We'll see if this thing will cold start because I forgot to plug it in overnight. So stay tuned for that. Well guys, as you can see, it's 17 degrees out where I live. Find the key here and see if we can get this thing to start. Hopefully these glow plugs are good enough to get this thing going. Do our quick wait to start. Oh, man, it fired up. It's a little rough, but man, that's pretty good. This thing, I mean, that's some cold weather. It's been sitting for a couple of days, but this thing runs pretty good. Check this out. You can definitely tell it's cold, but man, this thing fired right up. I'm really impressed by that. Have a look inside real quick. It's absolutely filthy in here. The guy lived off of an old dirt road, but none of the seats are ripped. I mean, there's a little wear here, as you expect for a 200,000 mile pickup, but the headliner's in awesome shape. There's no major cracks in the dash like a lot of these trucks get. It's got an old CB in here, and it's even got all of the original owner's manuals, which is pretty cool. Oftentimes, you get an old truck like this and all the original paperwork's gone, so that's pretty neat, but just real dirty, just dust everywhere. So we're gonna get this thing cleaned up, but right now let's take it for a ride and see what you guys think. Man, it's like driving like a classic pickup. It's funny because this, it's only a 96, but compared to like my 08 6.4, this thing just feels like a classic pickup, and honestly kind of looks like a classic pickup too, with the square older body. But I'm gonna take off, go for a little ride here. And it's got 222,645 miles, and that might seem a lot to some people, but for a 7.3, I mean, that's really nothing. I mean, this truck, these things, if you just keep oil in them and change your fuel filters, fairly regularly, they will run for a long time. Guys, it's pretty funny. I haven't driven an older diesel truck in quite a while, and my 6.4 is just extremely quiet. I mean, you start that thing up and you can barely hear it idle from inside the cab. It's like driving like a classic muscle car in this thing. You can just hear so much engine noise inside of here. These 7.3s definitely aren't quiet. This thing gets up and goes pretty good. It's still bone cold. These trucks run pretty cold, but we got awesome oil pressure. Voltage looks good. This thing's just pretty well sorted out. I'm really impressed with it. the 7.3 in comparison to the 6.4 is like not even comparable. The performance, you know, is definitely just not there compared to the twin turbo 6.4, but this thing, you know, for what it is an incredible performer. And I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with this truck, fixing it up. Mostly just aesthetic work, you know. I've got to put a windshield in it. I'm gonna go to the junkyard and get some little bits and pieces like that speaker grill over there. Hopefully you can see that. It's broken. The steering wheel just completely worn out from 23 years of life and 222,000 miles. So we're gonna address all this aesthetic stuff and tackle a couple little mechanical gremlins as well. But all in all, this truck was just a steal for $37.50. Pretty decent runner, that is for sure. So the previous owner did tell me that the transmission was built about 3 years ago, and unfortunately you can never believe anybody on Craigslist, but he said it was rebuilt and a shift kit was installed at the time. I checked the fluid, it was very nice, you know, cherry red, didn't smell burnt at all, and it does have some pretty good shift firmness, so I'd like to believe the guy, but you know how it goes on Craigslist. I also, when I bought it, I picked it up almost in a snowstorm, and I had the four-wheel drive engaged, and it worked flawlessly. I even jumped on the highway afterwards, had it in cruise control, cruised just fine in cruise control. So other than some aesthetic stuff, everything else in this truck works. Power windows, power locks. I mean, it's even got the original radio with the cassette player, and that even still works, along with all the blower motor controls and whatnot. So this truck's gonna be pretty nice when we get done with it. Whoa, a little sideways in the snow. So now that we're back home, looking at it a little more carefully, you can tell that the front bumper's been banged into and is a little bent down. I actually have a new bumper for this truck that I've had around for several years for an old Bronco that I had. We're also gonna put a new bug shield on this thing. I guess the previous owner bumped into a wellhead somewhere on his property, caved the bumper in, broke the light loose, and broke the bug shield. So I'm gonna get a new one of those. We're gonna replace the bumper, put a new headlight assembly in it, and I'm also gonna do the chrome grille because this is like an XLT grille and it doesn't really look that good in the black, so it'll be nice to have an original chrome grille to match the headlight surround. So a couple little details there that we'll take care of, all of which we'll be getting at the junkyard, of course. Again, we're gonna definitely get rid of these little mirror extensions. I always hate the look of these things, and I'm gonna try to put this rack on Craigslist and see if I can't sell this thing to somebody. It'll be useful for somebody around here in construction or something like that, but not something I feel like looking at on this truck every day. And inside of this filthy old box, the owner even gave me a programmer for this truck. I haven't even read the directions yet, but it's an OBD2 tuner, and you know, maybe we'll do a video on this to see what the performance is like. This looks like a fairly old, oh, it says for 96 F series 7.3, so we might give that a try and see how that goes. But I had a friend that owned an old 7.3 like this several years ago, and it seemed like when the truck was tuned, it just ran a lot more rough than these trucks normally do stock. It had a really rough idle, like lopey, and I don't want to mess with this thing too much, so we'll see. Maybe we'll get a wild hair to try that thing out. But all in all, this is a pretty decent truck. I'm really excited to get going on this project and get this thing cleaned up, looking like new again. And guys, as you can tell, underneath this truck, there's just a little bit of scaling on the frame and some of the suspension parts, but all in all, the pans and everything on this truck are very solid. No cancer, other than a little surface rust out here, which I think will wipe off with acetone. So a really very solid truck as well as a good mechanical driver. And that is your introduction to the 96 7.3 Powerstroke here on the channel. Well guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed this quick tour and little test drive of the 7.3 Powerstroke that's here new to the channel. Tune back in the next couple of days. We're gonna be doing some detail work to this thing, as well as throwing some new to us parts at it from the junkyard to really help the look of this thing. And then we'll also get into some mechanical work down the road when I tackle that oil leak on the oil or the turbo pedestal. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up for me and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more automotive content like this. We're doing some diesel truck stuff as well as some muscle car stuff, so if you're into those types of things, come back and see what we're doing here in the future. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next video.